Hello and welcome to the Dinosaw for week 13, another 7 curious, interesting things I saw last week. As ever, give it a like, share it with somebody awesome, and as ever, let's crack on. First one is probably the only innovation you need to listen to this week, and it is a brilliant new 3D printed cake. So the big innovation here is not only the 7 separate ingredients, including jam and chocolate and all sorts of stuff, and pastry and fondant icing and things like that, but it also cooks it as well, or at least cooks a layer of it. So this took 8 different variations to try and get this design. So the video, if you want to watch that, has got all of those variations in them. But the big thing here is it used basically going back and up and down the levels to create the walls and all that sort of stuff. So it bakes the jam and the chocolate in there, and it then uses a laser to cure the top level. So 3D printed cake. Of course, we've had 3D printed stuff before, 3D printed food, but it generally is like goop that isn't cooked. So this one is the first time it's been cooked in situ. Acoustic cameras are a thing. Who knew? This is Steve Mould, had an amazing video that really introduced me to these, and it's blown my mind. So these are cameras that can see sound and can visualize where the sound is coming from. So in this case, it's in conjunction with a LiDAR scanner. You then point it at, in this case, an engine bay. It will scan the engine bay whilst the engine is running and tell you where the noise is coming from. So if there is a squeak or a low rumble or something like that, you can separate it out to the frequencies, which is what you're seeing with these kind of color maps here, which is great, but it can be used for anything really. You know, an instrument, where is the noise coming from, or a train as it goes by, where are the rattly wheels or the squeals or whatever. So I didn't even know this thing existed, but this is amazing, especially if you're in product testing or something like that. Or maybe if you've got something in your house that's just annoying you, get one of these and you'll find out where the noise is coming from. This is a video from, I think, last year anyway. I think I featured it, but the sensor that was actually at the centre of this has now also been detailed by the University of Technology in Sydney. I was reading the paper about that. It's really interesting. It uses graphene and a biosensor that sits on the skin, and it reads the optical cortex. So it's a little bit of a roundabout way of saying it does mind control, but what they're really doing here is they're using a Ghost Robotics Vision 60 robot, and as you saw just in that clip there, they're using the output from the optical cortex to detect when you're staring at one of these flashing squares in your vision via a augmented reality headset. If it detects that you're looking, say, to the left or to the right, it sends the robot to the left or the right. Now, why you can't just move your head left or right and do that as well, who knows, but there you go. But the point is this graphene implant is actually really conductive, it's really robust, and is going to be the future of controlling things in the near future at least. But we now have killer robots running around being mind controlled by other people. Excellent. This is from the Writers Guild of America, who have clarified the rules how they will accept script writing using AI. It was a little bit vague, but they're like, yeah, we're cool for it, but there are a couple of rules, and you can see the rules in their tweet thread on the left hand side. By the way, Bunch Wars was just something I created using AI, and it just suggested bananas and stuff like that, so I just rendered it as well, and came up with Bunch Wars through another AI. All the good things. So the main 3 things here really are that it has to be used as an additive thing, so it has to be used as a help. It cannot be used as the creator, the generator of the actual movie itself or the script. The second thing is the AI can't really be credited as the creator. It has to be the person who created the prompts, and therefore that person also gets the money, which is great. And I thought the third thing that was interesting is they do specifically call out plagiarism, because using other people's work is how these AIs are trained. So therefore, sort of right at the center of any help that your AI has given you is probably somebody else's plagiarized work. So that's quite interesting. This is Metahuman, or at least Animator, which is their new feature. Metahuman, if you don't know it, is a great platform for creating 3-dimensional humans or 3D human models for games and all sorts of things. But this now uses a new feature which can do motion capture just through a mobile phone. So what you were seeing there is an actress doing a few scenes about being surprised and angry, and then that can be within a few minutes being directly taken from a mobile phone capture and then transferred onto these metahumans, these 3D generated humans. So that is amazing. You know, as I say, if you're in the animation business or the sort of virtual production business or the gaming business, whatever, then this is a really big move. So loving that. Glaze, I've just mentioned plagiarism in AI work. So this is a really interesting piece of software you can download. I think it's downloadable for Mac, both types of processor of Mac and also PC, and it is free. So this is from students at the University of Chicago, and it's called Glaze because what it does is it cloaks your artwork so that AIs cannot steal the style of your artwork. So the way that these AIs work is they can generally look at how your artwork works, figure out the style, and then copy that. So if you type in Van Gogh into Midjourney, for instance, in the style of Van Gogh, it will then generate an image in the style of Van Gogh. So you upload your image to this software. It then creates adversarial pixels. Now these adversarial pixels fool the AI into thinking the style of your image is something else. So although you may upload an image, as you can see top left, of a figure with a sheet on, whatever that is, it then generates these pixels within the image. You can't tell any difference really with your eyes. However, an AI thinks that is Van Gogh. So if you upload lots of your artwork, then and you ask somebody to try and train on it, it will just go, oh, it's a Van Gogh, and it'll return a Van Gogh image. So this is a really useful way of artists at the moment, until this is kind of counteracted by the AIs, I guess. This is a really interesting way of cloaking your art and putting it out into the world and not having it trained into one of these big algorithms. And finally, now bear with me on this one, it's a little bit tricky, but this is all 56 transitions of a triple pendulum and balancing thereof. So if you look at a pendulum in equilibrium, if you get 3 pendulums together and let them go loose, they will just dangle down. If you then try and balance one pendulum on top of the other, it's really difficult to do, let alone 3 pendulums. It's almost impossible. However, if you take all 7 equilibrium or 8 equilibrium states of a pendulum, minus the ones where it is itself, you have 7. And if you go from every 7 to every other 7, that is all the transitions you can possibly do of 3 pendulums in equilibrium. And what you're seeing here is just using a left and right motor is going through every single one of those. Well, not this video, this is just a clip, but if you watch the clip, it's going through every single one of the transitions, and you're seeing balancing 3 pendulums one on top of the other is incredible anyway. It uses apparently like 1 millisecond between each one of the calculations, but that is pretty cool. Bit nerdy, but cool. Hopefully that was interesting, hopefully it was useful. If it is, give it a like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and I will see you next week.